NRG, Sunrun, Solar City, which is Elon Musk's company, they were all my clients. It was able to grow that pretty large. I mean, within 2.5 years, just under 3 years, we went from zero to about 30 million, or just over 30 million in sales.
Wow. If you're intentionally originating deals all the time, you're intentionally meeting sellers all the time and getting the information you need, and then you're constantly making offers, you can't fail.
Dude, I'm having the most fun I've ever had by far. There's challenges, and that's the fun part.
Yeah.
But it's honestly, it's easy.
A very warm welcome to the Creative Dealmaker podcast. I'm Carl Allen, I'm your host, and I'm going to be interviewing expert guests sharing investor strategies that will completely and utterly disrupt the market when it comes to buying and selling businesses all over the world.
Hey guys, it's Carl Allen. Welcome to today's Dealmaker, Creative Dealmaker podcast show. I've got one of my favorite dealmakers today. He's actually my dealmaker of the year. He was our 2023 Dealmaker of the Year out of over 1,000 of my protege. So welcome to the show, Nick Elia. How you doing, man?
Oh man, I'm great, and I appreciate that. When you told me that a few weeks back, I was honored. Honestly, there's so many amazing people in the group, Carl, that it's like I'm just there trying and putting in the work and doing what I motivating myself every day to get out there. So it's pretty awesome.
You're kicking ass, dude, and we'll talk about some of the deals that we're doing. But just for the listeners, and obviously we stream this on YouTube as well. So for the viewers and the listeners, just give us your backstory, because you've had a very interesting career, I think, until you started coming into this and doing deals. But yeah, just tell us where you came from and some of the experiences you've had along the journey.
Yeah, I'll try to go quick. Out of college, went to college at Florida State. I played professional golf out of college. I traveled the world playing professional golf, and it was great. It was awesome. I played with some of the most incredible players in the world, and competed against a lot of those guys. And as good as I was, I had an injury, and I came to the realization, man, that two things. One, as good as I wasn't better than them, and there's just a different level. And although I was close and I could compete here and there, I couldn't compete day in and day out like these guys. And two, I was tired of being broke, because it's not a glamorous life, unless you're one of the top, 20 players in the world. So I had that realization, and through that, I was always doing little businesses here or there, just doing stuff. And I started a company, a marketing firm, actually in the solar industry was the main part of it. And this was back when that was like the wild, wild west, not like it is now. And we were one of the largest marketing firms for the solar industry at the time. NRG, Sunrun, Solar City, which is Elon Musk's company, they were all my clients. And we were operating on like 4 different continents at one point.
Really?
So it got pretty big pretty quick. The problem with that industry, though, is that it's very much based upon government incentives and things that are happening in the overall economy, things out of my control. And I saw that changing. So we started going into some other things as well, just diving in and marketing wise and getting into other industries, which was good. And I ended up selling that company to a competitor at one point, which was great because I saw the writing on the wall where things were going, and I didn't like it. So I was able to do that. Yeah, I did. Thank God. And from there, did a lot of other stuff and always had a lot of companies. And then I started a insurance company, and that got started from zero. And at the same time, took my marketing background and started another marketing company for the insurance. So I had kind of 2 companies side by side running parallel with each other, and was able to grow that pretty large. I mean, within 2.5 years, just under 3 years, we went from zero to about 30 million, or just over 30 million in sales.
Wow.
Yeah. So it grew quick. It grew big. It was awesome. I met a lot of great people and was able to build a really large sales force. I ended up selling that company to a pretty large, both of those companies actually, to a very large private equity firm. And I've always been intrigued by PE. I live in Boca Raton. There's a lot of PE here, a lot of people that have done PE deals. One of my good friends, his dad, growing up, was Wayne Huizinga's right-hand man. So I got to see stuff with Waste Management and all the sports teams, and it was really cool. I didn't have that. My family's super middle class, man. I grew up with, very little, and but I grew up in a great place. I remember sleeping on the floor on a mattress with my dad when my parents got divorced for a while, and I thought it was cool because I was a young kid. I was 7 years old, and I thought it was great sleeping next to my pops.
Yeah.
Looking back, I can only imagine we didn't have a bed frame, one bedroom apartment on a mattress, and so, but I was able to see a lot growing up where I grew up, and so when I was able to have that exit, with the insurance and the other marketing firm, I stayed on for a couple of years, grew that from 30 to just under 100 million in 2 years. We had about
Nice.
7,000 agents. So
Were you on
I
an
grew
earn
it.
out? Were you on an earn out as part of that exit?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sweet.
that was part of my deal. Yep. Yes, it was. And stock and some other stuff as well. I left there a year or so ago for certain reasons. I just wasn't we weren't aligned, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so, but through that, before that, through that, during that, the acquisition space was always in my mind, it was always something there. And so I ran across you, contacted you at one point. I went through your 10-day, and for me, a lot of it, Carl, if you want me to get into it a little, but a lot of it was, I knew the process. I knew 95% of it, but I was missing something and I didn't know what it was. And I knew I needed help. I'm smart enough to know that I'm not that smart, and I need to have help by people that have, done it. And so that's when I, got in touch with you and the team, and I was able to put together what I was missing within the first week,
Yeah.
honestly, which was great. So it's been
I
awesome.
remember the welcome call, right? And I don't go on them anymore, right? But I remember back a year ago, like once a week, like we'd welcome all the new proteges into the program. And
Yeah.
I remember you telling your story, and I'm thinking, like, man, this guy's this guy's got the chops. And then when you told me about the professional golf thing, that really convinced me that you were going to really crush this, and you have. Because one of the things I've found with people that come into the program, right? Often, people that have taken big exits, they're financially secure like you are. Sometimes they don't have the motivation and the discipline to kind of do this stuff. But when you've come from a professional sporting background, or someone that's like retired military, you have a
Right.
grit and a mental toughness about you that allows you to keep going and pushing through. And I've seen that with you in the last, in the last 12 months. So, like, just talk about that for a little bit. Like, how are you transitioning? Like, are you using a lot of that discipline that, to become a top golf player? You got to have some discipline, right? And I think that's the biggest thing that most deal makers miss. Like, they don't have that mindset to just keep going when things get tough. You've obviously mastered that from your background, but like, how important do you think that is?
So it's funny because, when I was playing, I didn't realize that would actually translate later in life. I didn't know, but you're right. I mean, especially in golf, it's an individualized sport. I have no coach calling me to get me up. I have no teammates calling me and say, you better get your butt here to practice. That doesn't exist in that world, right? It is self-driven. So I do think that tailored me and got me ready for business. Looking back, I didn't know at the time, obviously. But yes, dude, I'm extremely disciplined. I'm very, in golf, you have to be extremely focused on a routine. Routine is everything, right? And so that taught me that through, I think, business and life, where I'm very still to this day routine oriented. I'm 4 o'clock in the morning, I wake up. I don't have to, but I do. And there's been times where I stop that and I feel lost,
Yeah.
honestly. And I don't like getting up that early. I don't want to. And I've tailored it. I used to get up and kind of pray and write down goals and kind of visualize stuff, and then I'll go to the gym. Once my kids started getting a little bigger, they crawl in bed with me and my wife now here and there, and I don't want to miss that because there's going to be a time where they're not going to do that. So
Yeah.
I've tailored myself now to where I'll still get up that early. Instead of going to the gym from 4 to 7 or so, 4 to 6:30, I'm knocking out work right off the bat,
Yeah.
and then I'll take them to school, and then I'll go to the gym. So I've tailored myself
Nice.
in my schedule. But
Yeah.
it is the most important thing, man. Discipline. I've seen it
Yeah.
over and over.
And I like the fact you talk about routine. So, like, one of the, like, what we do in Protege, as you know, is we try and get everybody in the routine of on a weekly basis. There's really three things that you need to do consistently. You've got to originate deal flow, you've got to meet sellers, and you've got to make offers. And if you're consistently doing that on a week-on-week basis, you can't fail to close deals. It's like going to the gym, right? You know, you work out a lot, you're pretty jacked, I know, but like for you to build muscle, all you've got to do is you've got to do the reps and the sets multiple times a week and
Right.
then recover properly. And if you do that, it's biologically impossible not to build muscle. And I think deals is the same. If you're intentionally originating deals all the time, you're intentionally meeting sellers all the time and getting the information you need to vet the deal, and then you're constantly making offers on multiple deals in your funnel, you can't fail to close deals. Yeah, you got to raise capital, and then yeah, you've got to get the deal closed. But there's loads of resources for that. But I think that routine piece is really, really important. I think those are the two things that separate guys like you from other deal makers that don't win. Is number one, they don't have the mindset to keep going, and number two, they don't have a routine that they can map out to do the things that they need to do, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've seen that in my other business too. I had or roughly 7,000 agents that worked with me, and one of my companies, and they're all independent contractors. And so I saw it over and over and over. We would do calls like this or training calls all the time, and we always talked about routine and discipline, and that's what separates anyone from having success in an area versus not. And the thing is with the deal making and buying businesses, dude, I'm having the most fun I've ever had by far. There's challenges, and that's the fun part.
Yeah.
But it's honestly, it's easy. Like it's simple. I shouldn't say it's easy because nothing's easy. It's simple. Once you understand it, someone like your caliber who's been doing it for so many years, for you, it's like putting your shoe on in the morning
Yeah.
at this point. But I mean, it is fun. It is so much fun.
So let's talk about some of the deals that you've done. So I know that you've targeted the CPA industry. You're doing a roll up of CPA firms, which is an absolutely amazing thing to do because I think it's so right for consolidation. But just walk me through your process of some of the deals that you've done. How did you close them?
They've all been a little different at this point. The accounting firms came very organically, honestly. I look, I want something from my last companies. I've realized a few things. Boring is good. Not that I want to do boring forever, but boring businesses are a good thing, and they cash flow. I want something that someone needs no matter what. I was in insurance. People need that at one point. When one of my previous companies where not everyone needed it, and it was very up and down based upon the economy or based upon government issues. So accounting everyone needs. The IRS is not going anywhere. They just hired 20 something thousand new IRS agents. It's not going anywhere. So everyone needs it, whether you're a small business or an individual. So I like that. I liked how fragmented the industry was. It's extremely fragmented. I like how ripe it is. Like you said, there's a lot of owners that are just ready to retire. They're at that perfect baby boomer age.
Yeah.
And so that was very intriguing as I was looking for sectors to go into. And I've gotten into other sectors now, but and I can't wait to continue to get into more. But that's what really intrigued me with those. And so, honestly, all of your training gave me such a foundation or such a lot of things that I was missing, gave me those pieces. The first couple deals I did, to be honest with you, I closed, which is not something you teach. You don't teach that. And I didn't want to do that. However, what I wanted to do was get started faster than I could ever get started. And I knew I can go in there and corner a seller. I can get it for less expensive. Instead of, if he's asking $2 million, I could probably get it for 1.4 to 1.6 on a deal if the numbers are right. And I can get in there and I can get it closed quick based upon due diligence, but I can just get it closed quick. I don't got to worry about financing. So I wanted to do that quickly. So my first few, I did that. Since then, I've done some LBOs, and I've also done one of your annuity deals, which is, or I'm in the middle of finishing that.
Let's talk about the
Super cool.
annuity deal, because that
Yeah.
when I saw that, I thought that was pretty badass, because you even got the real estate on an annuity, correct?
No, actually, we left the real estate alone. We were going to, but we left it where it's at. So the real estate deal came, man, this is all you, because when you always talk about it, I have full trust in you, faith in you, and I know people are doing. I'm like, I know I can do that, but damn, I gotta find the right situation. But there's a lot more of them than I think I even realized.
Yeah.
So we get in. I have a meeting, a first seller meeting through Zoom. The company's actually local to me, which was nice. The gentleman was fantastic. It's a broker deal, so the broker was on the first call, and we had a great combo for about 25, 30 minutes. I needed some more financials. They sent them over and I said, hey, I want to go to the office or to the warehouse and I want to sit with you. So we go, we sit, we're talking, great guy. And his biggest concern, he's 66 years old. Yeah, he wants his legacy, but he actually still wants to kind of work, which was a little concerning, but I didn't mind it. Wants the name. He actually trademarked his name. So he's worried about that, worried about the employees, just like you talk about, just like all these owners are. And he started talking to me about taxes and how he doesn't like to pay taxes. He was he immigrated to this country years ago. He's a citizen, but he immigrated years ago. He doesn't want to pay taxes. He does everything he can to depreciate whatever he can or buy a bunch of stuff at the end of the year to not pay taxes. And so he started going into it and I go, well, we can get pretty creative. Are you open to getting creative on the financing? He's like, I'm very open to it. He had a deal. Check this out. He had a deal on his desk. He showed me a deal. It was $2.5 million up front and a $1 million note over 3 years.
Okay.
I believe it was 3 years. Okay. He had that deal. He could have signed it, done. He didn't take the deal. One, he didn't trust the people that were coming in. He didn't trust them. He didn't like them. There wasn't rapport. And two, he didn't want to pay taxes on the 2 million. He already knows he's got to pay his broker and he's got to pay a bunch of money on those taxes up front. So I asked him if he was willing to get creative. And he said, yeah. I go, how creative are you willing to get? Are you willing to get it creative to where I can get it to where you're paying almost no taxes? He goes, just like this. He goes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And right then I knew I had him. And what I did is I go, hey, we're going to get really creative on this. I'm going to give you a couple options. Okay. I'm going to give you a few options that one, we can save on taxes almost 100% over time or a lot on taxes. Two, I'm going to give you some more upfront money and see what that looks like. But let me come back later today and give you some more options. I laid out 3 different deals. Actually, no, I laid out 4 different deal structures for him. I laid out a 10-year full annuity deal at 5% interest, repayment at any time I want, full repayment anytime I want. I laid out a 15-year, which I never thought he would take, at 5%. And then I laid out 2 that gave him a little bit of cash up front. Smaller amounts, 3 and 500,000, I believe, was it, up front. I just wanted to show him to him. He came back and he wanted the 15-year deal.
Because
couldn't believe it.
15-year deal was the highest valuation, correct?
Yes, I gave him an extra $500,000 over the extra 5 years.
Yeah.
Right. So it was so seamless and so simple to get. Now, we've had some issues. We're really close to closing it. We've had a couple issues with the lawyer. His lawyer's his friend. He's like, oh, I don't know if you take the deal. Of course. So I'm working through those issues.
Yeah. But
either way, the fact that I was able to, and I would have never been able to do this without you. So full credit to you, honestly. The fact that I was able to recognize what he wanted, I built great rapport. He loved me. He knows that I'm gonna take care of the company and really grow it the way he wants. I was retaining his main guy and giving him a small percentage of the company. I was giving him small percent. I was only giving him 2.5% right off the bat. And then if we grew to a certain percentage, he can get another 2.5%.
Yeah. Nice. That's so cool, Nick, right? Because, and I do that a lot, and I'm glad you've done that, because if you've got somebody running the business for you, right, doing the day-to-day, which you're not going to do, they're going to do that.
Right.
When you give them a little piece of equity and you give them an incentive to kind of grow, it changes their psychology. They're now your business partner, right? They're going to kill themselves for you. And it's not the monetary side per se, although that's a benefit, right? Yeah, they'll get cash flow distributions, they'll get a piece of the deal when you eventually exit, but it's that they're going to work every day as a co-owner of the business. And it changed everything for me. First time I did that, but I was doing when I started doing my own deals like 15, 16 years ago, I came out of Wall Street and I was doing all these deals. Like I'd just hire a GM and I'd pay them a salary. And yeah, I'd give them bonuses and all those different things. But I used to think to myself, why aren't these guys like absolutely like driving so hard? And then one of my mentors at the time said, well, hey, give them 10% of the company. Trust me, you'll see a change. And as soon as I did that, boom, like these guys turned into like freaking Marines.
Killers. Yeah.
Killers, right?
Yeah.
Killers.
Yeah.
It's so important. So let's talk about annuity deals for a minute because they're so they're so important. And just for the benefit of people watching and listening, so I don't think we've talked about annuity deals before, is like the word annuity deal, like it really an annuity deal, as you know, it's just a very, very long selling note, right? Um,
Right.
and the reason I call it an annuity deal is I don't know if I ever told you the story, I was on a phone call one day with a web design agency. And like generally in the market, you'll pay 2.5 to 3 times EBITDA for that type of business, right? This guy wanted a 5.5 times multiple for the business. And I said to him on the call, like, wow, like your ask is like double the market rate.
Insane. Right.
You must have a really special business that's so unique to justify that kind of premium. He said, what are
Right.
you talking about? Multiples of EBITDA. I said, I don't even know what you're saying. He said, my wealth manager has valued the business for me. I'm like, okay, I hate to tell you this, but wealth managers are not qualified to value companies, right? Why would
Right.
the wealth manager value your business? He said, well, I called my wealth manager and I said, hey, I'm going to retire this year. I'm going to sell my company. Like, I need $20,000 a month to live on for at least the next 10 to 15 years. What
Right.
do I need to sell my business for? To pay tax, pay fees, then invest that money into a market product that's going to drive an annuity payment structure for me for $20,000 a month because I don't want to change my lifestyle. So the wealth
Right.
manager reverse engineer did the calculation and said, you need to sell for $5 million. Can't remember the exact number. And that then translated into a 5 times multiple of EBITDA. I was doing $1 million a year, right? So I said, well, dude, like, that's not how it works, right? I said, but let me tell you this, right? What if I said, I can give you that valuation, but why don't I just become the annuity provider? I'll just pay you $20,000 a month for 10 years out of this business. And he said, you would do that? He said, I don't need to pay tax. I don't need to pay tax. I'm like, yeah.
Right.
He said, well,
Right.
how quickly can you close that deal? I said, tomorrow. It's like, tomorrow? You don't need to go to the SBA and spend
Right.
5 months.
Right.
He said, and like, how much due diligence are you going to do? I said, well, practically none, right? I'm going to check
Hmm.
you've done your tax returns.
Hmm.
And if I'm buying the stock, not the assets, my attorney is going to spend a couple of hours just making sure, like, I'm safe to buy your company. There's nothing crazy.
Right.
I
Right.
said, but I can get a contract drawn up. We can do that. And then he said, okay, let's do that, right? And then he said to me, just one thing though, Carl. He said, well, what if you don't pay me? Like, what's my kind of comeback if you don't pay me? I said, well, have you ever like bought a car on financing? He's like, yeah, I just bought a Tesla. I just bought a Tesla X with the Gulf Wing doors, and I'm paying, $1,100 a month for this car. I said, well, what happens if you don't pay that money, right? Elon's either going to come for his car, or knowing Elon, he'll self-drive the car away from your house and back to the dealership, right? I said,
That's
so
right.
you'll have the same rights over the business, right? So like if I don't pay you, within 7 days, you can take the business back. You can have full view
Right.
of the financials. I'll leave you with access to the bank account. But this is a super quick deal. You're going to get a lot more money for the business. You're going to pay hardly any tax because it's crazy, right? Like people sell a business and they get this big, huge closing payment because they want the money, right? Like,
Right.
like seriously, like in some cases they'll pay 50% tax on that exit, right? So half of the money's gone. And if you're paying all the money at closing, they're getting a low valuation. So in theory, like you can
Right.
end up with 3 to 4 times the net money over a 10, 15,
Absolutely.
or 20-year period. And this is really
Right.
kind of changing, the market. But I think what you did in your example, which is really clever, is you gave him multiple options, right? And what always happens most of the time is they gravitate to the highest offer, right? So the longer
Right.
the term of the annuity, the higher the
Right.
valuation, because you're just paying them over a longer period. They want to go to the golf club or they want to go to the bar with their buddies and say, yeah, I just sold my company for $5 million. And they're like, yes, wow, that's insane. Like, you did a good job. They won't tell them that they're getting the money over 10, 15, or 20 years.
That's right.
But it's really interesting as well, because a lot of these sellers, and you mentioned baby boomers before, they don't really want a big capital gain. They want income, right?
Right.
They want that income for the next 10, 20 years to help them, not have to change their lifestyle. Because I found out a really interesting statistic a few months ago from the Exit Planning Institute, right? Because you know I'm a SEPA, right? So me and Jeremy Bronson did the SEPA Certified Exit Planning Advisor accreditation. And what's really interesting,
Okay.
the Exit Planning Institute, who give you that award, is they surveyed all of the retiring baby boomers in the United States, right, that own businesses. The average 401k of those millions and millions of boomers that are going to retire, the 3 million boomers that are going to retire in the next, I don't know, 10 years, the average retirement pot is only $202,000. So what's
Wow.
interesting is 70 to 80% of a baby boomer's net worth is tied up in the
In the
value of their
business.
company, right?
Hmm.
And what's nuts is that some people will sell their business for a lower amount, take all the cash at close, pay an absolute boatload of tax, and then find they don't have an annuity that's enough to live their lifestyle. So we can do
Right.
deals that can allow them to retire more comfortably by paying them over a longer period of time, but giving them full security over the business, like Tesla has over the cars that you lease from them. And I think this is a massive changing thing that we're doing. And what I love about you is that you took my coaching on it and my example of the deal that I did, and then you went off and you're doing all these different things, which is crazy, right?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. I love it. And there's just so much opportunity, especially right now, um, in the market. Also, it's funny, I'm doing a lot of deal origination, just trying to get a bunch of deals all the time. And I'm helping some other people do some origination too. And I have a person who's looking for HVAC company. So we're doing some origination for HVAC. I call a lead 2 days ago. This is crazy. I called a lead 2 days ago. I was in California. And the guy said, I just moved to Texas. I'm running it remote and I'm thinking about shutting it down. I mean, it wasn't a large company. He's doing, I think, about $850,000 in top line revenue, about 350 in EBITDA, give or take. I haven't seen the full financials yet, but there's so many people, whether it's baby boomers looking to retire or businesses like this gentleman, the opportunity is endless. It's everywhere.
Yeah, I know. And I think you've just hit on a really important point, actually. Like, a lot of people like stay away from California. I know it's an expensive
Right.
place to live, taxes are
Right.
high, but to your point, so many people are leaving California to go to lower cost states, right? That are cheaper to live, and they're leaving their businesses behind, and they're just closing
Yeah.
down, right?
Just
And
closing them down.
all they're getting is liquidation value, right? So
Right.
if that's an $800,000 revenue business, it might have, let's say, $200,000 in cash flow, but it might have a balance sheet that's worth $50,000. So that's all they're going to get if they liquidate the business, right? You can
That's
say, hey,
right.
we'll take your business, it's doing $200,000 a year. We'll pay you a 3 times multiple. So we'll pay you 600,000, but we'll pay you over 10 years. We'll pay you 60,000 a year, $5,000
Right.
for 10 years, right? And you're going to get 10 times more money than what you're going to get if you close the doors and turn off the lights. Why
Right.
is a seller not going to do that? They're going to go like,
Right.
well, yeah, that's crazy, right? Like, even if you only pay me for 1 year,
I'm still making more.
yeah. And in fact, like, it's painful to close a business down.
Yeah.
Right? It takes time.
Yeah.
And sometimes when people shut businesses down, it costs them money to do it, right? If you've got a big lease on the building that you're renting, right? They're not going to let you out of that lease. You're going to have to negotiate a termination.
That's right.
So sometimes people have to pay to close businesses down. So any money that we can give them over an extended period of time, they're going to thank us for doing those deals, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's everywhere, man.
So you did the CPA deal, you're doing a whole bunch of other deals. Like, what's the vision? And then we'll talk about upper echelon. Like, what's the vision for you say next 5 years?
Yeah.
You know, how many deals that you want to do? Like, I think you can be a big influencer in this market as well. Like, I think, you know, a lot of things that you're doing with your network as well, I think you can drive a lot of other people to do deals. But what's the big vision for you, like over the next 5 years?
Yeah, I have a lot, right? You know, as far as the accounting side, I want to get that in the next 3 years to million in top line revenue.
Right.
I'm buying these things, dude. These things are at 35 to 45% EBITDA margins when I'm buying them, and I'm able to get them to about 55. Because again, the only expense is in reality is really staff. So I'm able to do that by centralizing everything. So I want to get that to a $50 million top line revenue, be between 22 and $25 million in EBITDA. So I want to do that, and
So
I'm going to keep
that's a
that for cash
quarter
flow.
of a $250 million exit.
Right. If I want to exit that one I'm actually not planning on exiting. Obviously, if something happens, great. I had some people approach me about doing like a backyard roll up, and that was one of the annuity acquisitions that I'm doing. So that one I'm definitely going to exit. I have a 3 to 5 year plan on that to between hardscaping, a turf company, backyard fencing, and a few other companies, getting that to a 10 or $12 million EBITDA, which is not difficult to do
No.
over the next 3 to 5 years, and selling that for 10x, 12x, 120 million or so.
Yeah.
Definitely doing that. That's too easy of a thing not to do. I have a lot of other plans as far as, I'm doing a lot of real estate stuff. I've been a big investor in some real estate things, and one of my partners now, he's been in it for a long time, and I invested a lot. He has over 10,000 doors. And so we're in the middle of raising a big fund for that. So
Nice.
that'll be fun. Yeah, that's super fun. And then, like you said I could, possibly bring a lot of people to this space, and I believe I can with the network I've had and been able to build in the past. I want to do that. I just want to do it strategically and right and at the right time. So I'm kind of sitting on the sidelines until that happens. But
Nice.
I want to do deals with you, Carl, and a bunch of other guys in the group.
Let's go.
Um, Hell yeah. So, yeah, dude, I just love this. Deal making is freaking so much fun. I love deal making. I can get in there and get dirty and clean toilets and run the business as needed too. But I love being able to talk to sellers, and I think that's where a lot of my what
Nice.
I'm best at. So it's
Nice.
been
And you
great.
know what's really cool about buying CPA firms? You get like not only are you like rolling up in an industry and you're getting all those economies of scale, right? And that's $250 million exit if you get to
Right.
20, $25 million in EBITDA. But the really
Right.
cool thing about a CPA firm is it gives you what I call a Trojan horse deal funnel. Because a lot of these
Oh
CPA
yeah.
firms, they'll be handling a lot of business clients, right? And when somebody decides it's time to sell a business, before they go anywhere near a broker, they talk to people like the CPA. So they call the
Absolutely.
CPA, hey, you've got to get my numbers in a row because I'm going to be selling my business, right? So like you can have so much deal flow
Yeah.
that's coming. I'm looking at a CPA firm right now. We're actually in DD. It's up in the Pacific Northwest. And like we were talking to the owner, and he's like, wow, I've always wanted to get into the mergers and acquisitions world. He said, I've got 10 customers right now that are asking me to advise them on selling the company. So I
Mm,
said, well, hey, give us those leads. So we talked to
yeah.
10 of those businesses, and we're like effectively wholesaling those deals into Protegés, right?
Love it.
And I think it's amazing if you can buy a company that has access to it's a B2B, it has access to business customers. You can get really close to those owners, and then when they're ready to sell, you're their trusted advisor they're going to talk to before they go anywhere else.
Absolutely. No doubt. Yeah. We're starting to get to that point right now. I've talked to the staff about it. We're in the middle of tax season. So
Yeah,
they
very
are
busy, right?
slammed. They're working 7 days a week right now. It's
Yeah.
awesome to see. So,
And you don't
but
work
yeah, I
in the
agree.
business though, right? And this is the great
No,
being an owner
no,
investor, right? We don't have to work in any of the companies that we own, right?
no.
So cool.
Look, I'm managing them, and I'm on the phone with them on a daily basis here and there. And I'm working on some marketing stuff and hiring marketing teams and doing a lot of other, but I'm not doing any tax returns. I don't know how to. I don't want to know how to.
No, good,
uh, so
good.
yeah,
I used to be a CPA many years ago. Like, trust me, it's
that's why you're so good with numbers, huh?
boring. Yeah. That's why I'm so good with numbers. I used to be CPA,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't do that stuff anymore. So let's quickly talk about upper echelon. So as you know, being Dealmaker of the Year, we comped you into our big 60K mastermind, which is upper echelon. We got our first, we only launched it last year, late last year. We've got our first big event this upcoming weekend in Orlando. Super psyched to kind of see you again and have you there. So one of the really cool things we're doing in upper echelon, right? Upper echelon's all about diversification of asset classes. So it's not just about business acquisitions. It's about investing in real estate. It's about doing, 1031 exchanges and having trusts set up and like minimizing taxes and all those really, really cool things. But one of the things we're doing this weekend is something called the pitch route, right? So I think, there's about 35 people coming up to the event. 12 to 15 of them are bringing like really solid deals that we've already pre-vetted through red light, green light. And they're going to be pitching those deals. And in the
Love
room,
it.
there's me, there's you, there's Ross Turner, there's Abraham Gray, there's Wes Grant, there's Derek Barton, all the guys with capital. Plus, I'm bringing in debt funds, SBA loan brokers, a family office, and we're going to have like a Shark Tank set up where they come in. They have 10 minutes to pitch, and then we'll go down the line. You'll be on the panel, and we'll say, yeah, whether we're going to potentially invest in this deal or not, as an equity investor or as a hard money lender, or whatever we're going to do. So I'm really, really excited about that, because for us, that me and you, we've done a bunch of deals now. We're in
Right.
the position where, like, I don't want to go off and buy businesses on my own anymore. I want to partner with
Right.
people. And what's really cool is all the businesses I own today, all 26 companies that I own, I'm partnering with Protegés, right?
Amazing.
That's why I built the program, right? I didn't build the program to generate cash flow, even though it cash flows $4 or $5 million a year, right? I
Right.
built it to get people like you and Ross and Wes and Derek and Abraham and all the ball of deal makers that have come in and have crushed it to be my business partners and do deals with. Because like what's crazy is like I can go out and partner with anybody, but then for me to
Right.
have to teach them my methodologies of how I do deals, like I thought, what if I build a program that people can come into and they can consume and learn, and then like it can't be a free program because they won't take it seriously and they won't.
Absolutely.
If,
Yeah.
if if they pay a little bit of money to be mentored by me and the team, and they do some deals and they learn the tricks of the trade, so to speak, then we can go off and we can partner on some really cool stuff. And like we're close to $1 billion of deals closed in Protégé now. Like
Amazing.
if you'd have said to me 2 years ago when I launched the program, sometime in 2024, you'll hit the $1 billion of deals closed mark, I'd be like,
Amazing.
that's nuts,
Yeah.
man.
Right.
That's absolutely nuts. One guy did $140 million acquisition. Um,
Amazing.
it was just crazy. But no, I'm stoked to see you. We're in the big Dealmaker mansion. It's an 18-bedroom mansion. It's got a pool. We've got a bar service coming in, caterers, like strippers. No strippers. There's women there, right? So we're gonna be doing all this stuff. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you. When do you get in? Are you coming down Thursday night? Are you coming down Friday?
I'm coming up Friday morning. I might actually try to actually make it Thursday night. I might flip that. First off, by the way, thank you for that. Seriously,
You're welcome.
when you did that, you didn't have to, and
No,
you
but I
did,
wanted to.
and it's crazy appreciated by me. I was crazy honored, and I was telling Adriana, my wife, about it, and I was like, it's crazy that he even did that. Thought of me is amazing. So I really appreciate it. I'm humbled by it. And honestly, Carl, anyone that listens to this, watches this, if you're looking to do acquisitions, there's no one better than Carl to teach you,
Thanks,
and
man.
wherever you are,
Appreciate
whether
it.
you're brand new or whether you're kind of seasoned, you're going to get a good network of people. Again, for me, dude, I felt like I had it all. I felt like I was already doing it in a way, and I kind of did, but I was missing something to do it the way I know I as good as I needed to, and I was missing you. And so it was awesome. So wherever you are in your journey, if you want to do acquisitions, M&A in any sort, it's Protégé and the program is Dealmaker is amazing. So I
Appreciate you,
appreciate it.
man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I will let you go back to doing deals. Don't do any tax returns though. I'll let you go back to doing deals. I can't wait to see you on
You
Thursday
too,
night,
man.
Friday. Yeah, text me when you get in because it's a big
I will.
house. I'll come find you. We'll drink something cool.
Can't wait.
But Nick, Elia, thank you so much. Absolute pleasure to have you on the show. So that's it for the show, guys. We will see you next time on the Creative Dealmaker podcast. Until then, bye for now.